Huh? Luzungu.
No, this one is saying. Okay, this is the Uganda Railway Museum, and it was opened 16th March this very year by the Cross Culture Foundation of Uganda with the help of the Uganda Railway Corporation. Those are the people governing the railway, and it is under tourism in Uganda. So here this is one of our panels that shows the life before the railway came into existence. Here this is the way how life was before railway came into existence. We see that people were using caravan, they were footing, others were using canoes. Yes, so before the railway came in, this is the lifestyle, how people were. And we are seeing here, this was 1900s, the way how the road of Kampala looked like. Here, before the railway came. And here, this is the King's Palace, how it looked in 1875. But due to the monsoon winds, those are the winds that pushed the doors. All these boats, they were pushing them at the coast of East Africa. That brought the Arabs to come in Uganda.
Okay.
So they came as missionaries and they introduced cotton, as we see here. As cotton was introduced, still there were no means of transport they could use to take cotton from Uganda or East Africa to their Arab countries. That's why they came with the roll, all the means of the railway. That's here, right now. So, materials were transported through their ships and the construction began. It began from Zanzibar, that is Tanzania. It began from Zanzibar, then it came to Mombasa, that is Kenya, until it reached Uganda. However, on the way, as they were constructing, they faced some challenges. For example, you can see here, some people were hunted by the money-eaters, the Savo lions. And this railway was constructed by the Indian coolies. Reason why they had a railway by that time in their country. So they had the missionaries, they had to find a way of getting the exact people who knew how to construct a railway. That's why the skilled and semi-skilled workers were transported from India to Uganda. This is how it looked in Uganda, Munyonyo. This is how the country was looking, Munyonyo Port. Before the railway came. So as they are constructing, the railway hadn't reached in Uganda. So it was still there in different countries, Zanzibar and Kenya. So Munyonyo was at that stage. These are the ships or the steamers they used as they were constructing. These were transporting the Indians, the workers, and the materials like the sleepers. So a good image is this. This is how the ships looked like, the one that were transporting the people. And this is our first Uganda railway in Uganda. The railway was constructed in order to transfer cotton from different places to Kampala. That was Port Bell. But this was a monorail. It had single line. It wasn't like the way you see that railway.
Wow.
So for it was mono. That is where we derived the name of Kaleri.
Oh.
Yes, Kaleri, meaning single line. Yes, and it was pulled by oxen, which later died, and tractors pulled it. It also collapsed. Then people, slaves, Africans, they had to pull it. So when they pulled it, it also came at the point when they couldn't do it for a long period of time. That's when they introduced the railway. Remember, this was a single railway.
Yes.
So they had to introduce the railway where the train could go on itself without the people carrying it.
Wow.
Yes. So here, these are some of the materials that we have. This was a sleeper. It was supporting the train parallel under the ground. They could put it under the ground, as you can look there outside. So those are the sleepers. They put them down in the soil so that they can support the train to go through that. And this is the first aid cabinet. This was used when the train was operating in those years. That's the way how it looked. It wasn't modified like the way we have right now. And this is a stretcher.
Those are all just some injuries.
Yes, for those who had injuries, they could use this. The stretcher. And this was, they also had a water purifier, majorly for first class people. Those were the whites and Indians. They could take clean water. For the Africans, we never had water purifiers. So it was for only two classes, the first and second class. They had hand lamps. This was inside the train where people would sit. And this was used for traffic. Like the way we are right now, yes, traffic. If the train was going to stop, it had this. And when it was going to start, it also had different signals. So the train also had traffic lights. This was in front.
Of the train.
Yes, to help the driver to see where he was going. Yes. So this is when the railway or the train came into East Africa, eastern part of Uganda, that is Busoga. And it was led by Sinai Kakungulu. He played a very important role for the railway to be constructed in these sides of eastern part. So here, this is Namasagali, how it looked when the train was operating. And this is how it is, this current situation. Reason, it collapsed. The train was not operating for a very long period of time. So some materials were taken for scrap. So this is the current situation. However, when it was operating, it was at this situation. So this was the watch Dr. Palango. Remember, Africans or Ugandans, they were fearing the train. So they are calling it as they were calling it that the train can eat people. Yes. So they are calling it iron snail. So they were fearing it. So this man, Palango, had to jump off on the train to prove to the Africans that the train does not kill them. It is just used for the means of transport. Palango.
Palango.
Yes. So he was a medical doctor. And Namusagali, where they derived the name, it's like the way they derived Kaleri. Youths in that generation, they used to tell the parents as the mean of getting out of the parent side that I'm going to greet the train, meaning the Namusagali.
Wow.
This is Zinga, the railway station. It is like Jinja station, the way it is right now. It existed for a long period of time, Zinga. And the Cross-Cultural Foundation and Ministry of Tourism, they wanted to renovate it to look good because it is in a critical state. It can get demolished anytime. And this okay. So we exhibited this in order to show that seats have been there for a long period of time. So people could sit here as they were waiting for the train to take them to different destinations. These are the seat books that were used that generation.
Wow.
So they were used for recording. This is how they looked under different corporations that were living at that period of time. So here, these are the years the railway was operating, and these are different railway stations. This is someone who was boarding from Soroti to Lida and Gulu. This is the way how they are lining up. Then this is Achana. Then this is Soroti and Lida. So here, majorly it shows different railway stations and how people were waiting to be transported. This is how Kamuli looked, Namasabali, at that period as people were waiting for the train to transport them. This is the current Omukama of Toro, the one who is ruling right now. So he also boarded the locomotive of a train. He was this young when his father was at that age. Yes. So this is Soroti to Tororo. Here, this is the railway station of Kampala right now, and this is how it looked in 1931, and it hasn't changed. The way it is the way it is right now. This is the old bridge, the other side, yes, where the train passes. Yes, so this is the way how it looks right now. This is Masindi, so people could travel from those who spent a night in Kamuli. They could be transported by this railway bus to Masindi Hotel. That's where they were sleeping. And later, in the morning, they were transported from here to Mombasa, like that. So this is the way the buses looked that time, and these were the signposts showing you where to go and where you're supposed to go.
Wow.
So proceed this side. Here, just like any other compound, like UNRWA we have in Uganda under the construction, the Railway Corporation was under the East African Railway and Harbours Corporation. That was the company that was ruling at that period of time, as taking all the rails in the country. So here it is a sign of race and the railway. When the railway was constructed, racism also grew among Africans. That's when Africans, there are some things we are entitled to do and some things we are not entitled to do. Africans were not supposed to sit with the same class with the whites. That's how you see here, the first class and second, their booking was different. So here ours was this side. This is the way Africans were sitting as they were eating, and this is the way the whites and Indians sat. And this is the way they were in when the locomotive was being transported. So Africans were there to serve them. However, there happened the 1959 crisis that happened. So due to torture the whites and Indians were causing to Ugandans, people were fed up, so they decided to strike in 1959. So they had to force the whites to do what they were doing in order for the rail to operate. They were forced to push the luggage, to do whatever it takes, even to serve them food, in order for the rail to operate. So here, this is where our railway ended. That railway, the old one, when it was being constructed, and up to now, it ended here in Papaj. It has never existed. These are different railway stations in Uganda that you have where it was ending. Yes, Bali Bafunayo copper. Yes, they are getting. Yes, access a ginger like that. This sector, we look at the railway and the economy. Basically, we see what the railway brought in Uganda, the major impact. Here we are seeing people were employed. As you see here, this was in charge of signals and communication on the train, so he was employed. These are storekeepers in Namasagali. This is the way they were dressing. So they are operating shops at the station. They are also earning money. These are workers. They were supposed to push the Indians or the whites on this trolley, and they were working and being paid. So here, these are students. They are coming from school through the train. This image was taken from Kenya. In 1931, this is the way how students were dressing, and they used to board this as they are going to school. We are seeing here buses. They are transporting different people. For example, there was one that was transporting people from to Masindi. So the drivers were also getting money. Sugarcane existed long ago, so They could also load sugarcane to the train, and people were earning. Loading and offloading was taking place here, Copper, Nyiranzoli areas. So generally, when the lady came in Uganda, people remained employed. Yes. So this is the set that we are using that time. This is the way how they looked. For people who are giving out signals, that is the way the phones looked. So here we are looking at the revival, the way how the layer is revived right now. This is our current situation in Kampala, Namange. People are being transported by the layer to Port Boluzira, like that. So this is the way. Oh. So this is the way people sit, and they are being transported in that train right now. These are the tickets.
There was using.
Yeah, tickets. So you could book your ticket having your class with your amount of money you have paid here. Those were first class, they had their tickets, and second class, they had their own tickets. The only thing that was written was economy class, 1 or 2 or 3, like that here. So these are the people that worked in the train when it was operating. They are old, and that's the way how they look right now. Different people from different tribes. So that's the way how they are right now. And here, this is the way, the current situation of different train stations, how they look. They're in a critical state, and this is the way how the places are. Yes. So this is the only station that is functioning as per now. So the remaining stations, they are in that state. So this was a spotlight lamp, and it was used in time of accidents. If someone or the train get an accident, this is the only lamp they could use in order to see what is happening at the crime scene. Yes, so it was a little bit light. It could give out bright light compared to other lamps in the train.
Okay.
So as the train was operating, it also had some challenges. Here, this was the expulsion of Indians and Asians. So this is the way they were as they are going back to their countries. Here, it was, yes, he expelled them to go back to their country. Namasagali, floods, when they came, there are some floods that came and different stations closed in 1962. So it also affected the Leiri and it led to its collapse. Here, these were some youths, 6 of them, men and youths under 18. They died when they were in the wagon of the train. They were suspected to be rebels of UPA at that time by Amin.
Oh.
So they had to put them in the wagon and they lost their lives. Yes. So we proceed this side and we see what it is. So this is the way how the man was. This man was the one you could peso money, and you could put it here and give it to the Indians because they are the ones that owned money, not to Africans, because they owned the train also. So you could make receipt for you. He could make for you the tickets, or you could pick it from here. It had different stations. Those of Lida, Alua, Achuna, they had different stations. So if you could pay there, you can either pick your ticket from here. That was the way the man was and was giving out. So this was used by the Indians and whites only as class. You could put here a coin and their ticket would be printed out.
Oh.
So they are not lining up like us Africans. Their ticket could be printed out here. And this image shows how the VIPs were traveling by train. You can see there are only whites and Indians. None of them was Africans. So that's the way they were. This is the map that shows how the levy was. Different places that were covered by the levy. Here, where there is a green line, it is for the train, how it was working. Here, those were the ships. Because materials were transported from different places to the railway station, that's where the train could pick it and transport it to other places. And that the red was for the bus. For example, people who are transported from Tumasini, they had to go on a bus. This is the measuring scale. If you had luggage there, you could put it here in order for it to be loaded on the train. They calculate it. The load you have is the money that you pay. If you have too much load, that is the money you have.
If it is small, but when it has much weight.
That is the money, because it is already. So this was pushed by Africans then.
Africans.
Yeah. So they are the people who could play that role. This is how our train was operated by then. It was not using electricity or kerosene, rather it was using firewood. Yes, so they could load firewood inside, and that heat hits the water, it produces the steam, hits the piston, connects to the rod, and the train operates.
Wow.
Yes, so that's the way how it was. These are the materials that were used in that train. That's the way how they are working. This was giving signal when the train was stopping, so time came when the lights there couldn't work, the signal lights. So they had to use rockets. When the train is almost to reach at a destination, there are certain men like a conductor now who could hold this rocket and remove it outside. So the people at the station could get to know the train is going to stop. However, it wasn't working. Then they had to introduce this machine and it could work. The one who was riding the train would just hit the horn and people would get to know that the train is coming. Yes. So let's see here the demo, how the train was working that time. So that's the way how it was working, covered in different places.
I might move from this side to the other side.
Sorry?
This way.
This side.
Yeah.
Ndio mkienda huko kwako.